everything is leading to a massive, massive increase when it comes to online shopping, right? Massive increase. But not only online shopping, just being online in general, right? A lot of people are online way more than they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So there is really, really big opportunity there, especially when it comes to kind of e-commerce, or even if people have a service-based business. I know some people in Aussie Online do. I'd be really trying to take advantage of all of this and just kind of knowing all this information, have a bit of a kind of a medium to long-term plan, and just know that if you're looking at getting kind of into e-commerce, or you're looking at building a business, and that's what you want to do for the next 10, 15 years, whatever it is, then know that you're definitely in the right place. And I think it's always important to look back at that and think, okay, am I in the right place? Is this going to be here for a while? Because I always hear a lot of people always say that, certain things are saturated, or this is saturated, this is saturated. I don't believe in that at all. I think there are certain, maybe a product that is hard to compete with. I don't believe there is really saturation. If you look at a lot of the products that we've shared in the Empower over the last few months, people are creating, I mean, that Toowoomba brand just redid popcorn, right? Anyone else would have said, no way, popcorn, you can't sell that. It's saturated. Well, all the big brands have popcorn. People launching cornflakes, so I don't believe that there is a saturation for these particular things. I think it's just about coming up with kind of innovative ways and ideas to reach people, rebranding certain things, and getting out there, right? And I think that's all it comes down to at the end of the day. All right, next one we have is, oh yeah, another thing I was mentioning also about Africa, right? And South Africa and a lot of different countries, like even like Zimbabwe and things like that, countries like that. So Amazon launches online shopping in South Africa. So we had this kind of massive growth. Obviously, we have this huge growth in Australia. We have this huge growth in the UK. We have this huge growth in the US, Canada. Canada's not bad. And then we saw kind of a lot of the Asian countries, not specifically Amazon, but just online in general exploding. And I think we haven't really heard much from South Africa or Africa in general. But I think over the next 2, 3, 4 years, it's going to absolutely explode, because there's no one servicing that market at all. Like, no one is servicing that market. And in Australia, we don't hear much news about Africa, which is very unfortunate, because here in Europe, you hear about it all the time. And it's actually a lot more developed than what we think in Australia, because again, we don't really hear about what's happening there, but it's very, very developed. And it's moving. It reminds me of Asia about 12 years ago, right? And Asia basically boomed about 7 or 8 years ago, started to take off. And I feel like South Africa, especially, and Africa in general, is going to start to explode very, very soon. So if you have a particular brand or a business, and within your long-term strategies, it should definitely be in there. I'm actually speaking to someone about getting our product into South Africa, because they told me, they mentioned that, and I said, yeah, absolutely. I'm always looking for people who want to kind of take our product somewhere else. It's a good idea. Is Amazon selling in Argentina? I think they are selling in Brazil. I haven't been in the South American countries. But I highly, highly recommend, looking into South Africa for sure, and the African region, right? Huge, huge opportunity, especially if you have a great product. And if you have Australian-made product, even better. If you can get into those markets for Australian-made product, you have zero competition, like literally nothing, no competition at all. So I highly, highly recommend looking into that. Okay, so has anyone heard of this marketplace called Buy Kiwi? So this is a interesting marketplace that came up. Virginia, I know you're from New Zealand. Have you heard of this particular marketplace, Buy Kiwi, by any chance? If you want, you can feel free to message or just come out. But I actually looked at this, and I was thinking this is actually very, very interesting, because this could be a good opportunity for. Now, these are the requirements to actually be on Buy Kiwi, is that your business has to be at least 80% New Zealand owned, I think it was. Here we go. Buy Kiwi platform. Online network connects New Zealanders to Kiwi owned businesses. Right. So it's not Kiwi made products. It's just Kiwi-based businesses. And I think I've mentioned a while ago that I'm surprised no one has done this in Australia, right? Amazon tried to have made an Australian business section, but they failed miserably at that. But so you have to be at least 80% New Zealand owned, right, for this particular niche. But this just shows me that also I mean, the market in New Zealand is probably not as huge yet, but there's definitely a market there. And a lot of these websites coming up now, these platforms, what they're doing is they're basically educating the consumers on shopping online more and more. But there could be a good opportunity here to actually get onto the website and have a look to see if there's any or which New Zealand businesses are actually on Buy Kiwi, have a look at their particular products and see if they're selling their products in Australia. If they're not, it could be a good idea to maybe reach out to them, right? And maybe offer to sell their products on Amazon Australia, right? So as a particular, as an opportunity. But that's insane, right? The amount of hours, again, that people spend online, and it's just getting more and more and more. Everything's getting delivered now by drone. Sooner or later, we're just going to be at home all the time. That's what it's starting to look like. But I mean, I don't like being at home all the time. I like being outdoors. But obviously, this is just showing the actual progression of the online world of e-commerce. More and more people are gravitating towards things making it easy and faster because they're working longer hours. And we can deliver that, right? We can be in a position to actually offer that to people. Yeah, so this is Amazon Australia, 1,400 seasonal workers for peak online sale. And again, mentioning Amazon Australia, they really are expanding quickly, very, very quickly, right? So if you're not on Amazon Australia, take advantage of that. Get onto there. If you're looking at just starting out right now with a product, I would just be thinking of Amazon Australia. Again, it depends on your budget, what your goals are, everything else. But Amazon Australia, I think, is still a absolute gold mine. And one of the biggest tips I'll give you is if you're focusing on Amazon Australia, and just focus on a micro niche, right? Focus on one particular product, add heaps of variations, get as much real estate position as you can on page one for that one keyword or for that one particular micro niche in that product, right? Don't go too wide. So again, I think there's a lot of opportunity there.